Bring your awareness to your body and your breath. Feel the breath as it flows in through the nostrils, through the chest, the belly. If you can even imagine the life force through the breath flowing through every cell. Bring your awareness to the palms of the hands, the sensation and temperature within the palms of the hands. Bring your awareness to the soles of the feet, the sensations and temperature within the soles of the feet. Bring your awareness to the space between the eyebrows, the spiritual eye center, the frontal regions of the brain. Feel that area, but more importantly, using your imagination, using your inner gaze, gaze into the mind's eye. And here, imagine a radiant light. Maybe you can remember when you've seen the sun at dawn or at sunset, or you've seen the radiance of the sun reflecting off of water. Imagine, feel that same radiance within your mind's eye. That same radiance enlivening the mind, the space between the thoughts. And that radiance shines down through the heart and down through the body. You can even imagine a time when you've sat in the sun, feeling the sun on your skin, on your face, and imagine that same energy, that same warmth shining on you, around you, and through you. And we'll chant the Gayatri mantra together to begin this practice. I will chant one line of the mantra. If you know it, you can chant along with me, or you can wait and repeat it within the pause. And then after several repetitions in that way, I'll chant the mantra all together. And you can chant this out loud if you're able, or simply hear it, listen, recite it within your mind, or let it be the focus of your attention while holding that same image, that same feeling of the radiant sun, the physical sun, the spiritual sun. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio yo na prachodayat. Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat Om Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat So with this prayer, we intend that all the three worlds, the physical, the astral, the causal, are illumined with radiance, that our emotions, our thoughts, our intentions are guided by this radiant light, inspired by this radiant light of the spiritual sun within and all around us. And we'll honor and acknowledge the representatives of this Kriya Yoga tradition who've made it possible for us to be here today to practice in this way. Mahavatar Babaji, Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, Roy Eugene Davis, and their successors. We can honor any teachers which have inspired us on this awakening path, which have assisted us in this life. And knowing that you have the support of consciousness, of spirit, that same light that you perceived or saw within those inspirational figures, that same light is within you, that it is all around you. And as you meditate, imagine, feel from time to time that you are resting in, floating in, supported by this radiant ocean of consciousness, this radiant ocean of spirit. And meditate now using whatever techniques have worked for you in the past, which help you to let go of your attachments for a little while, to turn your gaze, your direction towards that subtle spiritual field, the wholeness of life. If you're still using a technique, go ahead and continue for a minute or two longer with that technique. If you're at a place where you can conclude the technique, do that. And then return your awareness to the breath. Return your awareness to the body. Paramahansa Yogananda would often say that our techniques are our tools, and that it's important to recognize when to put down one's tools. Lahiri Mahasaya would often speak to one of the most important aspects of meditation was to abide, exist, experience the after effects, poise of one's meditation technique. So the after effects. So during our meditation, particularly during longer meditations, it's a good idea to take some breaks from a technique and simply observe, be present with your state of consciousness, the clarity revealed by the technique, to appreciate it, to be present with it, to dig deep into the present, to anchor yourself in the present. So if you still have any distractions, thoughts, emotions, or sensations, maybe now you're able to be a little more impersonal with them. You can simply see them as clouds passing through the sky, and you are the observer, you are the witness, you are the seer. And practice in the Yoga Sutras is defined as abiding as the seer. Meditation is a step, it is a technique, it is a tool. But the practice of Kriya Yoga is the ability to abide as the seer, as the spirit, as the witness. To acknowledge that radiant field of spiritual awareness as your very self, as your innate nature. Lahiri Mahasaya would proclaim that he was deathless spirit. And as yogis and yoginis, the fruit of our practice is to acknowledge that, realize that. So as you sit here now, if you not already know that you are a deathless spirit, which you are, just imagine, what if you knew that you were this eternal, infinite spirit that acts through the body, that observes and experiences the emotions and the thoughts, but that is a radiant field of awareness that existed in your dreams last night, the same as it exists now in meditation, the same that existed 10 years ago and even before you were born, and will persist when your physical time is over. What would it be like to know and feel that you were this infinite, radiant spirit which works through the body, which meditates through the body now, always. But now we're just more acutely aware of it, because that is the purpose of meditation. And it may be that this contemplation doesn't result in immediate insight, but if repeated throughout the day, during each meditation, in time it becomes clearer, more apparent, until it becomes obvious. Within the Yoga Sutras, it also states that essentially success in this practice happens over a long period of time, a long period of application of the Kriya Yoga practice, of the contemplation of the eternal self. And so this is part of the process that we're contributing to sustaining today in this meditation. And now let's do a group meditation technique, meaning we will all practice it together, everyone who's practicing now together. And we'll begin by, as always, bringing attention to our body. First, being aware of the breath. Feeling the substance of the atmosphere, of the air, of the life force as it flows in through the nostrils, simply by feeling the breath moving into the nostrils. By smelling the air, feeling the breath as it flows out of the nostrils, and sometimes you can even feel it in the sinuses. The substance of the atmosphere as it moves through your nose. And you can feel the breath as it moves down into your chest, into your belly. And as it moves out on the exhale. Right now, knowing that really nothing else matters. No thoughts, no emotions. They may come up and come and go, but paying attention to them isn't going to do anything. So you anchor your attention back into the breath, back into the present. And then you can bring your awareness again down to, if you can, the palms of your hands. Feeling the warmth, the temperature, the sensation, the beingness, essentially, of the palms of your hands. Paying attention to the information that the nervous system gives you about the sensations within the palms of the hands. The right palm, the left palm, and you can even take a moment to compare the sensations between the right and left palm as you breathe. You can bring your attention also, if you can, down to the soles of the feet, the bottoms of the feet. Being aware of the sensations or the temperature within the center of the soles of the feet. Not being concerned with whether it's a good or a bad sensation, just an observation, just getting the nervous system, getting our attention on the prana, the life force, within those centers and the soles of the feet. Feeling the left foot, the sole of the left foot. Feeling the sole of the right foot. And now feeling the palms, the soles of the feet, and the breath simultaneously, letting your awareness be absorbed in that experience. And now move your awareness to as much of your body as you can. Remember, you are the witnessing radiant presence, the seer, and you're using the nervous system to observe, to feel the sensations, the state of the body through the feet, the legs, the belly, the chest, the shoulders, under the arms and fingers, the neck and the face, the crown of the head. And everyone's ability and capacity to do this is different, so all you have to do is your best. Just simply feel what you can of the body as you breathe. Letting the nervous system carry this information back to the witness, the radiant essence of your being. And now imagine the sensations that you feel within the body is like a field or a wave or an ocean of sensation. If you could see it in your mind's eye, there'd be a flow, there'd be movement. As you feel it in the body, it's like being in an ocean or being in a bath and feeling the water as it rolls over the skin, as the pressure moves the body up and down, back and forth. You can feel this or imagine it as you observe this field, the field of your life force. It's a subtle field that sustains the physical body. And again, using either your perception or your imagination, imagine this field is like a conglomeration or a collection of billions of tiny streams of energy, or like little rivers. And imagine that that field is flowing now towards the center of your body, from the toes and the fingertips and the hands and the feet and the legs and the arms and the periphery of the skin, into as if there is a column of light within your spinal pathway up through the brain. And all of this radiance, all of this field is like streams of water flowing back to this source. within the spinal column. You can imagine that it's a soothing experience, enjoyable, not relaxing so as to put you to sleep, but just an enjoyable flow of life back to the spinal pathway. Almost as if gravity is pulling it. It's flowing naturally. Now imagine that this column of light within the spinal pathway, it goes from the base of the spine, the point on which you're sitting, even up through the spine, up through the neck. It illumines and radiates the nervous tissue within the brain and goes up to the crown of the head, and you can feel the crown of the head. Imagine that there is a much larger river that's moving slowly yet consistently upwards. As though it's rising gently. Like you've seen bubbles rise up through water, gracefully. And you can imagine and feel that the space within the spine, the space with those psychic centers that we call chakras, are radiant. That they're humming beautifully. That they're vibrating. And that light, as it is mostly white, but maybe cycles through different colors as if you were shining light through a prism, ascends up through the spinal pathway, and it feels like water. If you've taken a shower or been out in the rain and you've had water run down your back, well, now you're just imagining that sensation as though the water is running up through the spinal pathway, up through the neck, up through the brain to the crown of the head. Again, as if there's this magnetic pull into the spinal pathway and a magnetic pull upwards through the chakras, through the sushumna. It flows up to the crown, where there is a sense of spaciousness, wideness, openness, as though it's merging into an incomprehensible sea, like a river flowing into the ocean. And you can't talk about it, you can't think about it. All you can do is feel it. All you can do is feel the experience. And if you can't feel it, just wonder, what would it be like? Or imagine it. But just give yourself permission to engage in this however you can. And let this sensation, this contemplation, this imagination be the focus of your attention for the next 5 minutes or so. And if you find yourself being distracted or drifting away from it, that's all right. When you recognize it's happening, just bring your awareness right back to the experience. Now, as you have been flowing the awareness to the best of your ability up to the crown, feeling this sense of upward movement, upward magnetism, imagine if you were truly free in space, if you were not confined by the body, if with the awareness flowing upwards you were aware of the vastness of space, the stars all around, the light years in between galaxies, the radiant light of planets reflecting within their solar systems. Imagine if you could feel the movement of moons around the planets, if you could feel the breath of the solar winds, if you could feel the gravity, the electromagnetism, the ether, the space that permeates our galaxy and beyond. And imagine if you were also aware of the infinite solar systems, the infinite space within this body, as if the cells, as if the atoms full of space were vibrating radiant points of light. And so all around, above, below, to the left, to the right, within, without, in all directions, there is this flow of spaciousness. There is this awareness, even if it's vague, even if it's faint, of the pools of billions, of trillions of stars, of the movement of electrons, of particles, passing through the body. And this sense of openness, of wideness, of spaciousness. And in the Kriya Yoga tradition, the technique Kichari Mudra is often misunderstood as an actual physical technique, which it can be, but in the Shandilya Upanishad it's described as this kind of experience. And this kind of experience occurs with the support of your meditation techniques, but it is cultivated by really, truly getting into the feeling sensation, the imagination of this is a possibility for your awareness. The sense of lightness, largeness, expansiveness. And you can, as you perceive all of this, recognize, abide as the seer, that which is able to see it. As if you are conscious of all space, all time. And it can't be described, it can only be felt, experienced. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. And before we take or encourage a short break, let's spend a little more time in this state, or in this sense of imagination, this field. And I want you to consider your life as an individualized aspect of the infinite consciousness. And with this sense of possibility, expansiveness, potential, consider the next 6 months or so. And ask yourself, what is something, as an expression of this infinite consciousness, that you would like to do, experience, change within yourself, grow? What would it feel like if you succeeded through the struggle of doing it, but you succeeded? How would your life be? You don't have to be specific. Just get into the feeling. Know what it is. What is this that you would like to see different? You would like to see, you would like to experience. That if you were at the end of your days, you would look back and say, I'm glad that I did that. We know that in the holy science, Kaivalya Darshanam, Sri Yukteswar talks about the fulfillment of our soul's heart's desire, which on one level is spiritual awakening, but on the other level is the unique expression. Not frivolous things, not silly little things, but big things that are important to your heart for you to experience and express and realize in this life. So just the first important thing that comes to mind, imagine what would it feel like to have executed the plan to become closer to that experience? What would it feel like to know that it's done? You have awakened to that new reality, a change in life circumstance, an intention for more profound spiritual awareness, anything that's important to you. Feel it within your heart, within this spaciousness. And then imagine yourself connected to the inner guidance or the inner wisdom to make the most of that experience, to navigate that experience, so that it is a part of your individual dharma, your individual spiritual purpose. And then let it go. Just don't even think about it anymore. And bring your attention back to the body, the breath, the palms of the hands, the soles of the feet, as though you're checking back in. You're bringing that spiritual understanding, that wisdom, that radiance, you're grounding it back into the temple that you have for this lifetime. Now, those of you who need it, it's perfectly fine for you to take a 5-minute break from this longer meditation to stretch, to walk around, to get a drink. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people find that if they take a momentary break in longer meditation, sometimes even doing just a minute or two of hatha yoga, stretching the spine, walking around, that when they come and sit down for the final portion of a longer meditation, they find that they go deeper quicker. So it's not an interruption, it's just support. So if you need a break, take one now and come back in about 5 minutes. If you don't need a break and you're still alert, engaged, then stay with me and we'll continue onward. Now, even if you didn't take a break and you're still meditating through the break, it can be helpful to take 5 to 10 vigorous deep breaths, comfortable vigorous deep breaths, to get you back into the practice. We want to avoid a trance-like state or a passive semi-conscious state. Many meditators think that's the goal. It's actually not. We're aiming for a super conscious state which transcends identification with thought, emotions. It doesn't mean there aren't thoughts or emotions. It's transcending identification with thoughts and emotions. So it is essentially, as we've been talking about, abiding as the witness, the seer, the spirit. So take 5 to 10 somewhat deep and vigorous breaths that are comfortable for you to enliven the body, enliven the nervous system, to refresh your practice. And after you've done this, once again, use a technique or series of techniques that you found work for you in the past. Give yourself permission to let go of your attachments to what you think is so important in the world, and turn your gaze within to that eternal, timeless spirit. And then as we draw towards the end of our time together, we'll do another guided meditation practice. Remember, as you meditate, no matter what technique you're using or what state you might happen to be in, remember to hold and feel as though you are floating in, surrounded by, permeated by an ocean of consciousness, an ocean of spirit, a radiant field of awareness, which transcends the physical reality, which is the source of your ability to perceive, to be present. And which is that infinite field of timeless spirit. Feel, imagine, what would it be like if as you meditated you were aware of this body, this temple of yours, sustained by, permeated by, surrounded by this light, buoyant, sustaining field of radiance. Once again, wherever you are with your techniques, or if you're simply abiding as the seer, the witness, let go of the techniques, continue abiding, and give yourself some time to exist in, experience, appreciate the after effects, poise of the practice. So just observe, be present. Let the breath be natural. It's oftentimes in these moments in between techniques when insights dawn or a shift of awareness or a shift of consciousness can occur. It doesn't always happen, but it's worth paying attention to for those times when it can and when it does. Now let's practice one final guided technique together. Many of you are familiar with this. It's a very common but effective technique, and it is chanting through the chakras, which is essentially bringing your awareness through those psychophysiological centers that are often referred to as chakras within and along the spine. It's very simple to do. Take your awareness and you bring it down to the root chakra, which is said to be at the base of the spine, but also at the area essentially where you're contacting the floor or where you're contacting the chair in which you're sitting. Feel that area. Sometimes you can tense and relax the area to bring your awareness there more fully. And on the inhale, you mentally in your mind say, chant, feel the syllable Om, as though it pulses there. On the exhale, you mentally feel, hear, sense, imagine Om pulsing within that area of the body. Om on the inhale, Om on the exhale. Lifting your awareness up into the second chakra, which is said to be at the level of the sacrum, above the pubic bone, about within the center of the pelvis, a few inches up. Feel that area, level of the bladder more than likely, and mentally chant Om on the inhale and Om on the exhale. Repeating Om on the inhale, Om on the exhale. Lifting your awareness up to the third chakra, the level of the navel and the center of the abdomen. Feeling that area, place of fire and warmth and digestion. On the inhale, mentally chanting Om, feeling it resonating, pulsing with the inhale. On the exhale, chanting Om mentally. Lifting awareness up into the heart, the space between the shoulder blades, the space in the center of the breastbone, the middle of the lungs, feeling that heart chakra, feeling the energy within it, the quality, the pressure, sensations there. On the inhale, mentally chanting Om. On the exhale, mentally chanting Om. Lifting awareness up into the throat, the space where the neck meets the shoulders and the skull rests on the top of the spine. Feeling that area. On the inhale, mentally chanting Om. On the exhale, mentally chanting Om. And as you do this practice, sometimes the sensation to imagine that can be helpful is as you chant Om and as you feel the area, you can imagine that on the inhale, it's as if life force or breath is flowing into the area, like a wave coming in. And as you exhale, chanting Om, it's as if life force flows out, like a wave flowing back out to sea. So the inhale, Om, the wave flows into the area of sensation. On the exhale, Om, the wave flows back out, like the ocean moving back out to sea. And lifting your awareness up to the spiritual eye, the space between the eyebrows. Here, it's useful to feel the space between the eyebrows while simultaneously being aware of the point where the spinal column meets the skull. So that little divot in the back of your head, right at the base of the skull. This is the sixth chakra. Inhaling Om, exhaling Om. The wave flows in, the wave flows out. Bringing awareness up to the crown, feeling the crown. Om on the inhale. Om on the exhale. And back down to the spiritual eye, the space between the eyebrows, that point at the base of your skull, feeling an openness, a movement of energy freely. Om on the inhale. Om on the exhale. And down to the throat, the fifth chakra. Om on the inhale. Om on the exhale. And back down to the heart, feeling the space between the shoulder blades and the center of the chest. Feel as though it is free, open, spacious. Om on the inhale, Om on the exhale. Now holding the awareness at the heart. When it comes time to conclude your meditation, it's often a good time for using your creative imagination, time for prayer, time for intention setting. So feeling the area of the heart and remembering all those times of radiance and openness and clarity and connection that we've moved through during our time together. Imagine it is present here now within the heart. Realizing that the purpose of our spiritual practice is to acknowledge the supremacy of spirit, that aspect of ourselves which transcends the coming and going of worldly things, which transcends the idea of the small sense of self, that infinite part of our nature. And we can take a moment to feel and see and radiate goodwill towards everyone, everywhere, throughout all time and space, without exception. Feeling a sense of promise, a sense of potential, a sense of uplifting positivity for the lives of those around us. No matter what choices they make or how they think, that sometimes might get them into trouble, that they are surrounded by a field of well-being and support, and that you and your family and your friends and your neighbors, whether you like them or not, are also surrounded by that field of support and wisdom and well-being. It's always there, always accessible. And that you make the choice to remain attuned to that field of well-being and guidance. That even if no one else in the world does, that you look towards that field of well-being and guidance, that you acknowledge and feel it real within your heart, real within every cell, real within every atom. And that you are open to living within it, through it, by it. And the world will do what the world does, but you remain anchored in spirit. And as time moves on, it becomes easier and easier and more natural. And your awareness becomes more expansive. And the spiritual realities of the world become more obvious and experiential. And that this is your path in life. And this is one of the ways the radiance of spirit touches the world, shines through the world. Not because of any specialness on your part, but simply because it's the thing to do. Feel it within your heart. See that light moving through your community, moving through the world, moving through the oceans, the trees, the rocks, the creatures, the molecules, the atoms, out through space, through time. And feel the body, feel the breath, feel the palms, the sensations within the palms, the sensations within the soles of the feet. The movement of the atmosphere through the nostrils, the breath into the lungs. Feel this realization, this intention grounded within you, within your temporary form of the body, within your mind, within your heart. Feel the radiance of your spirit grounded within this present moment. And then to conclude, you can take 1 or 2 deep, gentle breaths. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I want to thank you all for being here, for participating in this 2-hour Sunday meditation. I encourage you to maybe once a month or once a week practice this again. It's always good to meditate a little every day, 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so every day. But then every now and then, like I said, once a week or once a month, give yourself permission and the time to experience the deeper processes of meditation by spending more alert attention in the process, 1 hour, 2 hours. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. It was a wonderful time to meditate together.